Hey, I'll give another video a shot today because I thought of a really good clickbaity title for it, which is accurate. So why resist that? I wanted to do a video, talk a little bit about, since I did a wrap up of the first 6 months on my last video, I wanted to talk about what my plans are going forward for the rest of the year. And then I'll explain to the best of my ability why I stopped doing YouTube, and then what the inciting incident of my coming back was. Although there was a delay between the inciting incident and my actual return to making videos. So I plan to keep doing a lot of reading, keep doing videos. I'm going to be here in Albania through the end of September. October 1st, I'm going to Madrid for 5 weeks, which I'm very excited about. It's where I wish I could live, but I looked into it for quite a while, and the whole process of getting either temporary or permanent residency is more effort than I want to put into it, because I'd probably change my mind in a couple of years anyway. But I'm after early November, I'm at this point looking forward to South America. So I decided, if my Spanish is ever going to get any better, I need to spend at least a year or two in some South American country or another, because I've kind of hit a wall on what I can do on my own. And that's the only reason I'm learning Spanish anyway. I would like to live in a country for a while that's a non-English speaking country, and be truly able to communicate in a foreign language. So we'll see if that's even possible for me. The only other language I have any other kind of ability is French. I really do like to study French a lot. My life goal there, I think, is just to get up to a competent reading comprehension level, so I can read French authors in the original. That's my dream for that. But there's not as many choices of countries to live in that are French-speaking countries that are available to me as an American. So those are my life plans. I'm going to keep reading books, of course. I could say the books I want to read this year, but they're the same books I wanted to read yesterday. I really want to start reading Trollope. So Victober would probably be a good time for that. We'll see, though. I do spend a lot of time reading and listening to Spanish stuff, Spanish language stuff. So, and of course my progress is much slower on that, so there's not as much to talk about. And I've probably talked about all the books I've read in Spanish before anyway, because I keep rereading the same ones. What else? I've had an obsession for a few years of trying to finish reading long, mostly crime, private eye books series, or cop book series that I've started. I would like to finish the Kinsey Millhone books, even though I'm really burned out on those, but I only have about 5 left. And she's not my favorite private eye because she likes the cops too much. It's just a different sensibility than the private eye books I like to read, the more traditional ones like Sam Spade and all the traditional ones. And I would like to read all of the 87th Precinct series. I started that a couple years ago, but I'm only 6 or 7 in, and Ed McBain is such a brilliant writer. He's so good. And I would like to read the Dortmunder novels by Donald Westlake, which is his comedic burglar crime syndicate series, sort of the light version of his Dark Parker series. I've only read 2 of those, the first and the third one. I'd like to read the others, because I've read almost everything else by Westlake. There was a time in my life when it came to any kind of writing, I would studiously avoid their series books and seek out their standalone novels if I could, because I just didn't like the idea of series as much, because series tend to go downhill over the years. This is really getting way off subject. like the Tarzan series, the later books are not that great. It's it's kind of a standard thing. The later, in my opinion, Spencer books by Robert B. Parker are not that great. These series are gone. But then I found a few series over time and that really never fall off, or maybe fall off slightly in the last book or so. And of course, Nero Wolfe is the main one of those. I think there's like 45 or 50 Nero Wolfe novels by Rex Stout, or novels and collections of novellas. And they're just terrific. You could just start. You could read one a month, for 4 years, and then turn right back around and start reading those again. And that was another thing I wanted to do. But I felt like I've got so many series hanging out there with just a few books left to read. And also the other main one is Travis McGee by John MacDonald. I had read those, Catch as Catch Can, earlier in my life, and a couple years ago I started reading them in order, and I've still got about 6 or 8 of those to go, some of which will be rereads and some aren't. So why did I quit making videos? Well, I didn't intend to quit making videos, and if you look back at my, I don't know why anybody would be this interested, but if you look back at my timestamps, my date stamps on my videos, you see that a couple times I made videos here and there, but didn't really get back into the consistent groove of it. First of all, sometimes I just get sick of my own voice, just get sick of my own stupid ideas, and I just go silent for a while. And that was the main part of it. But and then enough time went by that I thought, well, do I even have to do it or whatever? No one really cares either way. Not that anyone. I'm not saying anybody should care. It's like, there's so much stuff to watch. Do I need to really be putting stuff out there if I don't feel it? And I'm going to keep that consistency going forward. I'm not going to try and post on a schedule or anything like that. I'm just going to post when I feel like I have something to share, or I just feel like doing it. But back to the title of this video, and then I'll wrap it up. I'm trying to keep these shorter because it's just too much for people, and sometimes I don't even get to the good part of the video till 25 minutes in, so which would be a good reason to learn how to edit. Oh, that was another reason I stopped, is I got to a point where I really wanted to start editing and make these a little better and clean up the sound a little bit. And I watched all these videos about editing and how easy it is and everything. I've done this so many times, and as soon as I get to the editing software, it all goes out of my head, and I can't figure out how to do anything, and I can't pinch the bar at the bottom to get to the right point or anything. I'm just terrible at it. And I've got a pretty small laptop because, for people who don't know, I've been traveling the last couple of years, and I only decided after retiring and traveling, that I wanted to do a BookTube channel, and I guess it would make more sense to do a travel channel, but or to put some travel stuff in there. I know people have asked for that before, and they would be very interesting to people, but I guess it's something I would think about in the future. One thing about my future plans now, since I've been retired maybe 2.5 years, I've been thinking, part of this time is exploring what I want my life to be like, and I don't want to just travel from town to town, from Airbnb to Airbnb, as they slowly get shut down around the world. And I do want to have a base someplace, hopefully outside the United States, or maybe I'll go back. I don't know where. It's so expensive where I used to live. A nice small town someplace would be good if anybody sees this and can suggest something. Problem with the United States, small towns are very expensive in their own way. I have friends who live in rural Montana who pay more in their monthly water bill than they pay in their monthly rent, so it works out to the same anyway. And I have friends who and I don't have a car, so that would be a big expense to get a car. Transportation being horrific in the United States, horrific burden in the United States if you don't have a car. outside of a major city, and major cities being a horrific burden just because of constant decades and decades and decades of mismanagement. So, okay, enough off-topic stuff. So the one thing that really brought me back to BookTube, and I did not leave for any reason other than what I've said, just getting tired of doing it, and nothing bad ever happened, but there was this one comment that I got a couple months ago, which was so sweet, and I'm sure this represents other people who don't bother to comment. I don't usually comment, but it was a comment on one of my first videos, which was a review video. And I was reminded of this because of the recent controversy about whether review videos track or not, and the different arguments about that. I'm sure if you've watched it this far, you've already seen enough of that whole controversy and are sick of it. But it did remind me of this comment, and it gave me a reason to start doing videos again. And the comment was, I'm not going to read it or name the person or anything. You can look back. It's like my first or second video, which was over a year ago now, I think. And I just got the comment maybe a couple months ago, where the person who left it said, "Thank you for posting this video. We're doing this book in my class, and it was great to have a little bit of background on it." And the book is a short novel by Mary Shelley called Matilda, and that comment made me feel really, really good, because even though it's just one person and it goes to something that the channel Books I'm Not Reading said early on about book reviews, and many people have said this before, is like, you should do them because, especially if it's not a big trendy book, if you're doing the next Sarah J. Maas book, I don't even know if she's the big trendy one now, or the next Blake Lively Presents book or whatever. Of course, there's going to be thousands of those videos, and it's probably going to be a book that's not even thought of years from now. But if you're doing a review of a book that you like, some strange old book or peculiar book to you, then there's not going to be that many videos about it, and it can be very helpful to people. And so my attitude, my feeling of satisfaction, happiness in getting that comment was reminded me of why I liked making the videos, because it can be of value to somebody, even if you don't think it is at the time, or you're just doing it for fun or whatever. So I felt that was very rewarding and worth continuing, and that's why I kind of feel like, well, I'll just make some videos and see how it goes. I don't know if I said this part yet or not, but I'm not going to post on a schedule. I'm going to do them when I want to do them, and we'll see where it goes. Thank you again for everything. I just have to find the off button, and then we'll be done. Goodbye.